Danny, Tamika here, Kayfabe Jiu-Jitsu. Today we are going to go over a position that I really like, where we can get a variety of submissions from, all kind of in a row. Works really well. It's best to attack more than one thing at a time. Ups your chances of actually getting a hold of something. So today we're going to look at side mount. We're going to look at the Kimura, the Americana, and the straight arm lock, all without letting them wiggle away. Alright? Come, join me. It will be fun. I promise. Alright, so I'm in side mount, and I'm going to start looking to attack this arm. We're going to take the arm that I've got behind the head, and I'm going to move it to on this side of her body. Right like this. I have double control mostly over this arm. From this point on, my elbow doesn't leave her face. I keep it right there. And my chest stays heavy on hers. I'm going to start trying to corral this arm. Now you can start this attack at any of these three submissions. You can go Americana up here, Kimura down here, straight arm lock in the middle. I like to start with the Americana because it's not the hardest thing in the world to defend, so it gets them kind of feeling like it's okay. And a lot of times they'll take and shove their arm in front of your face like this to try to give you the old elbow to the throat to get you to take some pressure off them. Keep in mind that we've got pretty good pressure on the head here and really good pressure on the chest. So this is uncomfortable. They don't like being here. I'm not supporting my weight with my elbows and knees with her able to move around. I'm here and I've got pressure on. So as soon as this comes in front, I keep this hand where it is and I come up and I grab the wrist. I don't take my chest off of hers to do that. I just come here and I push it toward my other hand. Now I'm going to capture. My other hand is going to go underneath and get to here. So Tamika has exceptionally tight shoulders, so we're going to have to be very careful about this. But to finish the Americana lock, I'm going to roll both my wrists forward. I'm going to pull back toward that shoulder joint, and I'm going to drag her elbow down a little bit. You see this a lot, and even with Tamika's crappy shoulders, she can handle that just fine. Here, you're going to have a lot better chance getting that submission without a ton of effort. I also am not a big fan of taking my chest off during this to try to finish because they fucking roll all over the place. So here, weight is on the shoulder. I pull, and I pull everything in, almost like I'm trying to shove her arm back inside her shoulder joint. That's going to help impinge everything, and then I just pull down a little bit. I'm just dragging her elbow towards her hip. Really easy. So one of the main ways people like to get out of this is just to sort of straighten their arm. Kick it away, right? And if I'm not grabbing real tight and she straightens her arm real powerfully, I could lose this. We could end up losing everything. Right? So when she starts to straighten her arm, I'm going to agree with that idea, and I'm going to let my arm that's underneath kind of drift up towards her elbow. As it does, go slow. I'm going to chase it to the end of there. Now I can apply the straight arm lock here. It's kind of an arm bar type thing. A lot of times they'll continue to turn their hand down, kicking it this way. So now she's more in Kimura territory. I'm going to hug, switch the arm, find the Kimura. So same as with the Americana, I'm going to roll both my wrists forward. I'm going to pull that shoulder joint back in, and I'm going to drag her elbow towards her ear. Much tighter than trying to do this. And I'm not the strongest person in the world, so this has never been real good for me. But you roll everything forward, you pull everything in nice and tight, and you drag it north. Much tighter on the shoulder, in my opinion. Now the cool part about this series is you can do it backwards, right? So I have the Kimura here. She starts to straighten her arm. We go straight arm lock right here. She keeps going. We switch. We go back here. She straightens again. We come after here. She keeps turning. We switch. We come back. Now all I'm doing really is just chasing this arm all over creation here. But since I know she's only got those three options, as long as I don't let go of her hand, it's just a matter of time until you can corral them into getting stuck in one of those positions. So the trick, at least to me, is to move a little forward every time, right? So if she starts straightening her arm, maybe I can't get all the way to here and attempt to do the lock and before she starts rolling up. But I'm a little higher. I'm here and I try to corral. As soon as I get it to a point where I think I can finish one of these arm locks, I grip and I pull to sort of shut down this seesaw back and forth thing that's going on.
Yeah, once it gets to here and you've got it.
Once it gets to here, she shouldn't really be able to straighten her arm.
No.
Even if she's much bigger than you, she shouldn't really be able to explode in any way to get out of it. Even if she manages to straighten it a little, I can still finish here. You know, so dealing with these arm locks or getting the capture is about getting them into a point where they can't move anymore, locking it in, pulling it in, and finishing. The trick is keeping control of this arm during this madness until we can get it to a point here, boom, pull everything in and lock it up. But the other factor that's really important here is my weight isn't coming off of them.
Right.
I can't lift my chest off as I'm chasing this arm around. Right? So I'm here, I have the arm. If she starts kicking up into Americana and my chest comes up, she's going to start getting away. And if she can start building towards an escape, she can escape out of this kind of circle of armbar pain, death.
Circle of submission. Submission triangle.
Submission circle.
Something.
Group of
the devil's triangle.
No, that's something else. So once we've got it figured out, we want to go after this arm. Isolate it and keep it isolated. Don't let it come back up here, and now I have to come back and start over. Once I've got this out here, I don't let this hand come any closer than this. If I'm down here, my right elbow's in her hip. We can't come any closer. If she kicks me forward, my elbow's in her head. She can't come back over this way. And my weight stays on the chest the whole time. So that's a concept I find really interesting, this idea of corralling somebody into a spot where kind of every answer is wrong. It's sort of the fun part about jiu-jitsu. The fun part about jiu-jitsu is stumbling on these little things you like, where they're sequences of moves that work together. You can kind of use them to help shape your game. This is just something I enjoy doing. This is, it's using all of my body against one arm, and I'm just going to kind of keep it by itself, chase it down, and find one of these submissions. I don't get bored easily, so I'll sit there and chase that arm all afternoon. Like, that's not going to hurt my feelings at all.
Yeah, and I think this particular sequence is a really good example of how, if you have a limb isolated, or if you have a position that you're in control, if you're patient and you know that you either have it locked in or you don't and you need a bit more control, being able to follow your opponent and kind of mitigate some of the responses that they might have to your grips, it's really cool to see that you can just change it to something else.
Yeah, you don't have to abandon the whole attack.
Yes.
You can just back off just a hair and let them fall into something even worse.
Yeah.
Until it gets to the point where they can't get out.
Yeah.
It's an older strategy, but it checks out. Old school jiu-jitsu. Alright, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
You can like and subscribe and such if you want.
You should.
See, you should. We're pretty cool.